What's up guys, it's Lord Both here with another video, and we have some interesting news in terms of Disney live action movies. This is according to Deadline, Prince Charming movie in the works at Disney with Paul King aboard to direct. Now I have to admit, when I saw this headline, the first thing I thought of was that South Park clip.
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
But it turns out this Prince Charming movie might not have any attachment to Cinderella, even though he's the love interest of Cinderella, right? Let's take a look at the article here. After helping bring the Paddington franchise and a new Willy Wonka movie to life, director Paul King has his sights set on another iconic character. Sources tell Deadline that King has come on to direct a new Prince Charming movie at Disney. Simon Farabee and John Crocker are co-writing along with King. They were co-writers also on the Paddington 2 movie, and they have numerous other kind of small movies to their name. I wouldn't count any of the movies that I saw on their IMDb list as great successes of cinema, but that's just the thing. The story of the movie is pretty much unknown at this point. While plot details are unknown, the Prince Charming character has many origins throughout literature, but when it comes to Disney, is usually linked to the character that becomes the love interest of many of the Disney princesses. While many have linked him to classic animated picks like Sleeping Beauty and Snow White, by the way, they're wrong, those actual princes are completely different and they have names, the true origin of Prince Charming comes from Cinderella. Prince Charming is the actual love interest of Cinderella. That's the name they gave him because I guess they were too lazy to give him an actual name. And it was one of their oldest original projects, so it makes sense that they didn't really think for posterity they'd have to worry that much about giving him a name. Back then, studios had this strange idea that they should come up with new concepts and ideas for every film, instead of just relying on repeatable storylines and characters to create ongoing franchises that people will just see over and over again. As for the film project, insiders do add that the film will not specifically be linked to Cinderella. So there'll be no Cinderella in this movie from what it sounds like. Or if there is, it will probably be like a passing cameo. But now a question is beginning to form. If there's no Cinderella, and Prince Charming's basically existence and identity is based around being the love interest of Cinderella, what exactly does an autonomous story about Prince Charming look like? What is Prince Charming's actual name? How do we link it to the idea of Prince Charming and being the prince that will eventually marry Cinderella while not just doing a completely new and original fantasy hero story? Because if you wanted to do an original fantasy hero prince story, just make one. You don't have to say that it's linked to Cinderella, unless you're just trying to link it to an IP so people find it recognizable and they're like, hey, let's go see that movie. It's linked to Cinderella, and we all know Cinderella. You don't actually have to do the legwork of, selling it to us as a good story. The film seems to fall right into King's wheelhouse after he successfully launched another family-friendly franchise in Paddington. King most recently directed Wonka, which stars Timothée Chalamet. The film marked another big success for the director, grossing $634 million at the worldwide box office. And it did have a budget of $125 million, so it did make a fair bit of profit on that movie. And I don't know what the budget and the makes were on the Paddington films, but I don't think that they were anything massive in terms of budget, and I don't think that they were anything really massive or really short in terms of profitability. So that is to say that King isn't a director that's known for turning out dud after dud. And he directs mostly family-friendly adventure films. And I have to say, I haven't actually seen the Paddington franchise or the new Wonka film, but I've seen clips of it, I've seen the trailers, and etc. And they all have that same kind of Christopher Columbus sheen to them, in the same way the first two Harry Potter movies did that Christopher Columbus did. Sort of that warm glow feeling it has to it. The styles just remind me a lot of each other. So that probably means we're up for a more light, family-friendly adventure film starring Prince Charming. And it also gives me a good feeling that we're probably not going to get Prince Charming discovering his queer feelings for his childhood friend, while Cinderella teaches him about feminism and toxic masculinity. In all, it's kind of an open source project that Disney can work on. And I always thought if they wanted to tell stories that had more maneuverability in terms of the plot and telling original stories, focus on the princes of the princess stories. Women would still want to see those. Men might actually be interested in those stories if you told good masculine stories. And nearly all the plots are open to whatever you want to write. Most of these princes don't have extensive lives written for them. So you can go back in and you can fill in the gaps, write something interesting, and maybe they'll actually start on that path here. The only problem I see is what I've already outlined. How are we going to make this feel like it's in any way related to Cinderella with no Cinderella? I mean, hell, even Ken is a more recognizable figure of Ken and Barbie, and you could make a sequel movie about Ken with no Barbie in it, because the whole concept of Ken is recognizable. The thing about Prince Charming is he's kind of just a blank slate. There's really not much of a defined personality for him. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.